As far back as Vikings, there were tales of Viking ships sailing out with bear dogs on board. And this was very much built on where they found Viking settlements with skeletons of these huge great bear dogs as part of the remains. And this is particular where the Vikings had invaded Canada. And so the sort of the root of the Newfoundland is very much within the Canadian provinces. So the DNA analysis of the Newfoundland shows that they are very, very closely related to Labradors, and we see this a lot in their reactions, their soft mouths, the working breed and so on. But over history, the Labrador and Retriever type breeds diversified from the Newfoundland side of things by having bigger dogs like Mastiffs. He takes his job really seriously. Bigger dogs like Mastiffs being bred into the Labrador type breeds to make them bigger, stronger working dogs. And historically, the Newfoundland was used by the Canadian fishermen in all aspects of their day-to-day work. So the Newfoundland would be on the boats in the first place. So if a person or something else got lost overboard, they would put the dog overboard to fetch that particular article. The dogs would then get used when the boats were back in the harbour to pull the nets up the beaches, so all these big nets full of fish. And then finally, the fish would be unloaded into small carts, and the dogs would then be harnessed up to take those carts up to the marketplace and so on. So this was very much, they were very much an all-round dog working within that particular family. The dog itself, because it became part of the family. So the fathers and sons would be out on the boats with the fishermen, and the women would very much be the shore-based people gutting the fish, preparing it for market and so on. So the dogs literally became part of the family unit, and they lived, ate and slept within that family unit. And this is hundreds and hundreds of years, so it's very, very ingrained into the whole of the DNA of the breed itself. So these days, the Newfoundland is very renowned for being very family-orientated, very calm, laid-back, sort of teamwork type approach. And this includes the Nana dog from Peter Pan was actually a Newfoundland in the original Peter Pan story. The American Disney felt that the St. Bernard was a more photogenic dog and used a St. Bernard within the films, but that is actually technically wrong. Nana was a Newfoundland as well. And one of the things that we find with Newfoundlands is that they are highly empathetic. They are very, very switched on to people's emotions. And this could be people they haven't really met. But if you're having a bad day, a Newfoundland knows you are having a bad day. So we've got this beautiful sort of canvas that's over hundreds of years, it's already been set up for us. So one of the things that we look back on is famous Newfoundlands, and you've only got to Google famous Newfoundlands, and you'll find all of their sort of background. They're constantly rescuing people. I have had the embarrassment of Kubeba trying to rescue people that didn't actually want to be rescued, but we apologised and moved on. But things like Napoleon was rescued by a Newfoundland as part of his escape from Elba. 160 Irish immigrants rescued off of a brig that ran aground off Newfoundland. The SS Effie, 92 people saved. The Newfoundland swam out with a rope that enabled them to get a bigger rope to the boat and bring everyone off of the boat, including a baby that they brought on shore in a mail sack. So very, very natural instinct. And none of those dogs were trained, they were just working within their instincts. The Royal Rifle Canadians had also had a Newfoundland dog as a mascot, went to war with them, and in World War II actually saved a group of injured soldiers by grabbing a live grenade, running off with it. The dog wasn't too clever afterwards, but again, that empathetic, wanting to work as a team. So Kubeba and I, as well as being members of Cariad, are members of two other groups. So the Welsh Newfoundland Activity Group, which is based just north of Merthyr, and another group called Newfs in Action, which is based sort of Guildford way, so we do a lot of travelling. And what both of those groups are doing is effectively using all of those natural instincts of the Newfoundland to be able to get over safety messages around the water side of things. Because if you just go and talk to a group of school children, for example, they're like, it's a really boring adult and I don't really know what they're telling me and I've switched off and I'm looking out the window. You rock up with someone like Kubeba and everybody is instantly interested in what they're actually saying. So we take part in demonstrations in water safety, and that includes the dogs fetching articles that we've dropped out in the lake or the river, fetching boats, and also rescuing people. So if Kubeba would actually wake up a moment, could you stand up a minute, please? So Kubeba is actually now in his water safety gear. Obviously, when I'm swimming, I try to look a little bit enthusiastic. So, and obviously, I'm in my water safety gear and my life jacket and so on. So Kubeba's got a specially designed dog life jacket that gives him extra buoyancy. So although he's got a double coat, so it will trap air and keep him afloat while he's swimming, if he's dealing with boats or other people, he needs a bit of extra help. So in the same way that we swim in life jackets, the dogs swim in life jackets. And then over the top of that, Kubeba also wears a safety harness. Could you stand again, please? And this gives some extra handles. So when Kubeba's going out rescuing people, rather than them grabbing an ear or a tail or anything like that, they've got handles that they can get hold of. And that gives them the security that they are being rescued in the same way that we might take a life ring out to a person or something like that as well. Thank you. You can sit again. Thank you. Well done. We also have carts that, I didn't bother bringing the cart today as well, but we decorate those carts up. So for example, the end of October we're doing a charity event with Halloween decorated carts where we're going out and raising money for charities, and we have nominated charities each year that we raise money for as well. So those are the two groups that we work with as well as with Cariad. So I've got some pictures here of the sorts of things that Kubeba actually does as part of these demonstrations. So the picture on the left, really to show how strong Kubeba is as a swimmer. So there, that's Surrey Search and Rescue, that's our emergency rescue boat. So we did a demonstration with them, they took the boat out, pretended the engine had broken, Kubeba's gone out, fetched a rope, and there's 3 very large blokes in it, plus me, and Kubeba has got the swimming strength to bring that sort of weight aboard and to bring it into shore. So extremely strong swimmer. We also demonstrate assisted saves of multiple casualties, and this starts to build on where we're talking about teamwork and respect for the dog. So we'll have 2 drowning people in the water. Kubeba will take a life ring to one, I'll swim to the other one, keep that person afloat. Kubeba collects his casualty, swims across to me, collects me and my casualty, and then brings us all into shore. So this is very much building on this partnership and trust approach that's completely runs through the whole of Cariad, but I have to trust him to fetch that person first and then come and help me with my casualty as well. One of the things that some Newfoundlands display an aptitude for, and Kubeba is one of them, is the ability to know how to deal with his casualty. And Kubeba completely instinctively knows if that person is able to grab his harness or not. If he swims to a casualty and they make no attempt to grab him, he will take their hand or arm and bring them in himself. So for example, if he was rescuing an unconscious person or someone that was having some kind of fit or something like that. So the picture over on the right is actually out at sea, Kubeba bringing in a pretend unconscious person, bringing them in by their hands. So we then built on what we were already doing with the Newfoundlands, and with Newfs in Action, we're now affiliated with the Royal Life Saving Society. So the Royal Life Saving Society heard about what we were doing in spreading the water safety message and have now become affiliated with Newfs in Action. So we take part in national 999 rescue type days. So we're there with the police, the firemen, RNLI, RLSS, Surrey Search and Rescue and so on. So some of the demonstrations, the one on the left, Kubeba in his full water safety gear, jumping out of a boat. So we were doing some demonstrations in Henley on the Thames, me pretending to drown. They bring Kubeba through in a powerboat, which always looks really impressive, and as the powerboat goes by, he jumps out of the boat, rescues me and brings me to shore. So as part of the Henley demonstrations, His Royal Highness Prince Michael of Kent, who's the patron of the RLSS, came along to watch the demonstration. So that's one of Kubeba's mates, who's a white and black Newfoundland, talking to Prince Michael of Kent. And all of these are really to promote everything that the dogs do. And now we're very much in the same way that I'm talking about Youth in Action here. When we're out and about, we're also now saying, oh, and of course, Kubeba's a volunteer dog for Cariad. So it's these organisations that are sharing this information among them because everybody benefits. And then earlier this year, me looking very embarrassed in that picture, we got presented with the Royal Life Saving Society Platinum Challenge Award for the work that we've been doing in promoting water safety. So I was starting to get a bit bored. You know, you can't be in the water all year round, what do you do over the winter and so on. So I started looking at other things that I could do with Kubeba that would benefit both of us, build on that relationship, and also start to benefit other people as well. And as part of that, I came across Cariad. Now, as Rob was saying, there are a number of pet sat therapy organisations out there, and I've done quite a lot of investigation into all of them. And what their background was, and what their ethos was, and what they stood for, and so on. And I felt that Cariad really was the one that most reflected how we train with Kubeba, how we work with Kubeba, and that kind of partnership that he and I had already demonstrated and were working on. So things like, you know, the bond between the therapy dog and its owner. When we're out doing water rescues, we have to know where each other's is, we have to trust each other. But also very much respecting that if Kubeba doesn't want to do something, fine, we'll have off days. I don't feel like getting up sometimes. So very much that willingness to allow the dog to disengage if it is not happy. And this very much fitted with the demonstrations and so on that we were already doing. We start every public display by explaining that sometimes the dogs just don't want to do it. And we have had like 100, 150 people stood on the floor and the dog's going, drown today, I'm not going in. Have several other dogs. So like, okay, we'll just send you instead then, mate. So, but very much that kind of, I felt that Cariad had the right sort of ethos for the partnership that we'd already built on. And certainly the Dog Welfare Charter, about being a partnership, being able to disengage when you needed to, but also the benefits that everybody gets from that particular sort of interaction. So in terms of what Kubeba and I have been doing with Cariad, we do 2 ward visits a fortnight in Glangwili, so we do an LD and dementia ward, and we also do a general medical ward. And then Helen fills our diary with absolutely everything else that Helen can think of. So we do student visits, we've done a number of primary school visits, and you can see there the kids think it's brilliant that they're meeting a dog that in some cases is actually taller than them when they sat down. And as part of those primary school visits, I brought some laminates along with me today, but we actually did up some laminates that although we are representing Cariad, we build the water safety side of things in as well. So as well as talking about therapy dog work and what Cariad do, we also talk about not playing on your own around rivers and lakes and so on as well. But I think most importantly, just making people smile and sleeping. Are there any questions on any of that before I clear the floor and let the next person out?
Is Kubeba your first?
No, he's actually my third.
Oh, no.
Yes,
They had
yeah.
similar careers paths to Kubeba.
He's, because I used to work full time, they were more pet orientated. He's the first dog that I've really been doing this as almost like a full-time separate career with him. So it's so it's actually Swahili for bear. Yeah, I wanted some. His kennel name is the most ridiculous thing in the world, and I couldn't get a nice name out of it, so I wanted something a bit different. So, yeah.
Has it been involved in quite a few actual rescues?
So the problem with the UK is health and safety don't allow them to be employed by the 999 services. So there was a very famous case about a Newfoundland down in Cornwall called Bilbo, whose owner was actually part of the lifeguards, and they had Bilbo on the beach with them, and they had complaints because it was no dogs on the beach in the summer. And because Bilbo was not employed by the life-saving people, he had to be removed, and it's absolutely ridiculous. But if you Google things like the Italian life rescue, there's some fantastic pictures of Newfoundlands jumping out of helicopters. And they actually train the Newfoundlands where to get to the casualties quickly, they'll put them in a helicopter, fly them out, jump the dog to the casualty to keep the casualty afloat while they get rescue boats or they get the winchman down. Yeah, so that's, I mean, he'd love to go in a helicopter, not in this country, I'm afraid. So.
I was ask a question. Would you go to say another pet? Say, for example, there's a dog on a boat.
That's very interesting. It's not something we've actually tried. I mean, like I said, we do it. We do people and we do sort of inanimate objects. I suspect if he thought that dog was in trouble, he would probably go in. Certainly, if I was going in to rescue a dog in trouble, I would probably do it that way. Take him in with me as an extra so that I could hold the dog in trouble and use him to tow me to shore. I think that would probably be the way that we would tackle that sort of situation.
So was his coat shed?
Horrendously. All year round.
I feel your pain.
Yes. Yeah, puddles, great. I'll just lay in them, soak all the water up.
Just think of all the money that we could make stuffing cushions.
Exactly. We have actually got a lady in the Newfoundland Club that weaves with Newfoundland fur.
Yeah, so those double coated, and my friend weaves. So
Yes,
she said,
yeah.
collect somebody's hair,
Yeah.
and I'll weave you a bracelet.
Yeah, between the mud and the drool and the molting,
Yeah.
they're not brief and faint-hearted. I think. Okay, if there's no more questions, I'll hand over. I think you're up next, aren't you, Liz?
I am.